Welcome back to Reddit Echoes. Today's stories are about moments where one decision, made in seconds, changes everything. Choices that seemed reasonable at the time but left behind broken trust, ruined careers, and relationships that may never recover. These are stories where people swear they did the right thing and everyone around them completely disagreed. Listen closely, because none of these situations are as simple as they first appear, and by the end, I want to know what you think. Story 1. Am I the asshole for calling an ambulance that got my coworker fired? I'm a 27-year-old woman, and last weekend I was attending a mandatory work training with my company. They flew a bunch of us out, put us up in a hotel, and sat us through a full day of presentations about sales targets and performance goals. It's a very competitive environment, and most of the people there were older than me. I was one of the youngest in the group. After the meetings wrapped up, a few of us decided to grab dinner at a restaurant near the hotel. We carpooled, and when we arrived, one of my coworkers, Deborah, who's in her 50s, was already there standing at the bar. We invited her to sit with us and eat, but she waved us off and said she was fine. I had 2 beers with dinner, so I'm not judging anyone for drinking. But by the time we finished eating, it was obvious that Deborah was completely plastered. She was slurring her words and stumbling, even though the ground outside was perfectly flat. When we all walked out together, Deborah reached into her purse and pulled out her car keys. I immediately stepped in and told her she wasn't driving. I said I'd take her back to the hotel myself. She didn't argue. She agreed. But as she turned to get into the passenger seat, she missed the door handle entirely and fell straight backward onto the pavement. The sound her head made when it hit the ground is something I'll never forget. It sounded like someone dropping a carton of eggs. She was unconscious almost immediately. When I knelt down, I saw blood coming from the back of her head. Everyone around me panicked. One of the guys grabbed my arm and told me not to call 911. He said we could just get her into the car, take her back to the hotel, find her room key, and put her to bed so no one would have to know. I remember staring at him thinking, are you serious right now? She had just hit her head hard enough to knock herself out. She was bleeding. I'm not a doctor, but I know enough to understand that head injuries are dangerous. I remember being taught that letting someone with a head injury sleep it off can literally kill them. I said no. Some of the others agreed with me, and I pulled out my phone and called an ambulance. The paramedics arrived quickly and took Deborah to the hospital. She survived, but when I checked on her the next day, I was told she'd been in really bad shape when she came in. That should have been the end of it, but it wasn't. Management found out that Deborah had been hospitalized for severe intoxication while technically attending a work function. She was fired on the spot. Everyone else also found out that I was the one who insisted on calling the ambulance. The older employees pulled me aside and told me I did the right thing. They said she could have died and that no job is worth a life. The younger employees weren't so kind. They started calling me a snake. They said I knew exactly what I was doing, that I wanted her gone because she was competition, and calling an ambulance was just a convenient way to get rid of her. That couldn't be further from the truth. I didn't call because I was thinking about promotions or office politics. I called because a woman was unconscious, bleeding from her head, and I didn't want to be standing there wondering if she'd still be alive in the morning. Still, knowing that my decision directly led to someone losing their job has been weighing on me. So now I'm asking, am I the asshole for calling an ambulance and letting the consequences fall where they did? Story 2. Am I the asshole for telling my daughter she'd have to move out if I divorce because of her lies? My husband and I have been married for a little over 5 years. My daughter is 19. She's my child from a previous relationship. Her relationship with my husband was never a typical father-daughter dynamic, but it was respectful, more like advice and casual conversation. I never once picked up on anything inappropriate from him, and my daughter had never hinted at anything either. One night, my husband and I were watching a movie in the living room when he paused it to use the bathroom. I distinctly heard him knock on the door. 3 loud knocks, twice, loud enough that I heard it clearly from the couch. Seconds later, I heard screaming. I ran to the bathroom and saw my daughter completely naked, covering herself, yelling at my husband to get out. He was tripping over his own feet trying to leave as fast as possible and slammed the door shut behind him. I asked him what happened. He said he knocked, got no response, and assumed the bathroom was empty. When he opened the door, she was standing naked in front of the mirror, and he immediately tried to leave.
Once my daughter calmed down, I asked her what happened. She said she was changing and suddenly he just walked in. I asked her why she didn't answer when he knocked. She said he never knocked. I told her I heard him. Then she said she had earbuds in and was listening to music, so she didn't hear it. My husband apologized to her. He explained everything calmly. She hugged him and apologized for yelling. I thought that was the end of it. It wasn't. Soon, family members started calling me, accusing my husband of being a creep. My sister called, furious that I was still living with him. That's when I realized my daughter had told a very different story, one where she claimed she answered him and he still walked in anyway. We have hallway cameras. The footage clearly shows my husband knocking. When I confronted my daughter, she denied lying. She denied telling anyone anything. Then I asked how my sister knew. She went quiet. Eventually, she admitted that she'd been talking to her cousin and making up scenarios, and the story spread. By then, the damage was done. My husband packed a bag and said he couldn't stay in a house where people believed he was capable of something like that. Watching him leave broke me. I told my daughter that if my marriage ended because of her lies, she would have to move out. I told her she needed to fix what she'd done. She accused me of choosing my husband over her. Then my husband asked for a divorce. Things spiraled fast. My family harassed him. The accusations reached his workplace. He demanded conversations be recorded for his own protection. Eventually, he left for good. My daughter moved out. She violated a restraining order he took out against her and was arrested. He stopped paying her tuition. He cut us both off. I lost my husband, I lost my family, and I lost my daughter. And I'm still being told I failed as a mother.
Story 3. Am I the asshole for leaving my wallet at home to teach my friend a lesson? I'm a 28-year-old woman, and last night I went out to dinner with a close friend. She has a habit of forgetting her wallet whenever we go out, which somehow always leaves me paying the bill. I've covered for her so many times that I finally snapped. So this time, I left my wallet at home on purpose. Sure enough, when the check came, she patted her pockets, dug through her purse, and said, "Oh my God, I forgot my wallet." I calmly looked at her and said, "Me too." The silence was brutal. She stared at me like I'd just publicly humiliated her. I could see the panic setting in. She told me I was a horrible person for putting her on the spot. Eventually, she paid with Apple Pay, which was interesting because that meant she could have paid all along. Now she's furious at me, and I'm wondering if I crossed a line or finally set a boundary. Story 4. Am I the asshole for telling my ex's mom the real reason we broke up? I broke up with my boyfriend a few days before Christmas. Apparently, he didn't tell his parents. He told them I was sick. His mom kept texting me asking how I was, telling me she missed me, inviting me over. Finally, she asked if I was coming to their New Year's party. I told her no, and that her son and I had broken up. She asked why. I told her to ask him. Later, I found out my ex was telling people he broke up with me because I'm crazy. The truth is, he got blackout drunk and physically assaulted me. I had photos of the injuries, so I told a mutual friend the truth, and I sent the same photos and explanation to his mom. She was horrified. She apologized to me and took my side. My ex lost his mind. He said I crossed a line and that our relationship wasn't anyone else's business. But once he started lying about me, I felt like staying silent was no longer an option. So now I'm asking, was I wrong for telling the truth? Those were today's stories. Some of these choices probably felt justified, some probably felt unforgivable, and some may have made you uncomfortable because you can see yourself in them. That's the power of these stories. If you enjoyed this episode, make sure to like the video and subscribe to Reddit Echoes for more true Reddit stories like these. And before you go, tell me in the comments, which story crossed the line for you? And was there any point where you would have done the same thing? I'll see you in the next one.